The race is hotting up. And the race we're talking about is not the title race, it's the race of who is going to get fired first. Just when I thought Graham Potter had secured everything and done everything in his power to secure a firing, Amorim comes in at the last minute to make sure he's the front runner to be fired first. Let's talk about it now. So, obviously, I have the fixtures for this coming weekend before the international break. But we'll start off with Manchester United. So, if you haven't heard and you've been living under a rock, 2-2 and a loss on penalties to Grimsby Town. Even the Grimsby Town goalkeeper says, I am a Manchester United fan and I am fuming at this result. Because quite honestly, how are you letting yourselves go 2-0 down against Grimsby Town, who I don't even know which league they're in? Let's go find out. They are in the... Where are we? Let's look at the tables. They are in League 2. So, Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2. Okay? This is one of the lowest of the lows. Now, obviously, shock results are not new to Manchester United. They're not new to the Premier League teams in general. However, let's keep in mind that firstly, it's not like they even fielded a poor first team. Sesko, first team player. Cunha, first team player. Diallo, first team player. Dorgu, first team. Kobe, potentially first team, although not preferred by Amorim. Dallo, first team. Now, this is where we can talk about Amorim's naivety. Why are you playing in a 3-back new formation, 2 new defenders on a background of having to back up Onana, who we know is not match fit and has a quite clear error in him? And then look at the subs they brought on. Mbeumo, again, first team. Fernandes, first team. De Ligt, first team. Mount, Xerxes. They put out essentially a first team, at least in the second half. And to be fair to them, in the second half, they did get to 2 goals back. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. And put it to penalties. And then 12-11, that's a long penalty run. But there's no excuse for it. Okay? I think Manchester United are going to, if they're not going to fire Amorim, Amorim's going to leave. That post-match interview was kind of the mess here is way beyond me, and I think the social media things and everything is getting to Amorim. But Potter, I think it just depends on which board will fire first. Man United, I think they would be safe in the league. I don't think it's a disaster. I can rationalize why you would keep Amorim. You've got a system in place. You've had a couple of decent performances. Well, one decent performance in the Premier League. Getting a new manager in right now is tough. I don't know what the manager market is like. Whereas I think West Ham will fire Potter first, logically, because the goals for Manchester United really were just to be mid-table this season. That would have been, I think, the bare minimum. And I think as Manchester United fans, the United Network and the United We Stand groups, what they're experiencing and what their grievance probably is despite how bad everything is, Manchester United have had good performances in the Cups. I don't think going out of the Carabao Cup is the worst thing possible. However, the manner in which it was done, I think is disgraceful. Potter, however, I think West Ham's goals are to avoid relegation at this point. I don't think Potter is the type of manager who has experience in a relegation battle. It's a Big Sam, Sean Dyche kind of reality, despite, them not wanting that type of football. It is what will keep you safe. But we'll see. Anyway, let's talk through the matches this week. Chelsea versus Fulham at Stamford Bridge. Always a tough... this is quite a tough matchup, I think, generally, in terms of it's a rivalry. Fulham looked quite decent in their first 2 games. Let's look at their form guide. So Fulham coming into this, beat Bristol City, drew with Manchester United, drew with Brighton. Tough games. Chelsea obviously had to draw with Crystal Palace and the 5-1 demolishment of West Ham. I think this will be a 3-1, maybe 4-1. Let's go 3-1 Chelsea for this one. Manchester United, Burnley. Now, prior to what we've just seen, I would have said no doubt that United would win this game at home against a relegation threatened side. But Burnley had a couple of positives. Obviously beating Southampton 2-0. Barely edging Derby County 2-1. Although managing to pass one of the lower league teams. And the opening day defeat to Spurs. I would say that perhaps if Amorim's there and is able to make a bounce back and try and, make a case for prioritizing the Premier League, like the opposite of last year, where both them, United and Spurs, prioritized the Europa League, and then basically sacked off the league. Maybe Amorim is focusing on league position this year and wants to be as high up the table as possible. I expect their defense is very shaky though, but I expect maybe a 2-0 win United. Actually, you know what? No. I think it will be a 3-1 win United, actually. I think their offense is quite good. I think Cunha and Mbeumo and Fernandes and Mount and Sesko is a bit too much firepower, but I don't think the defense will hold up to keep a clean sheet. Next, one of the relegation battle matches, Sunderland versus Brentford. Sunderland opening their accounts with a 3-0 drubbing of West Ham, but then suffering a 2-0 defeat to Burnley. Brentford struggling and having a tough victory, but they managed it. Let's talk about this. Obviously, they also went down to a lower tier team in Huddersfield Town, also on penalties. But again, I don't think this is a priority for Sunderland. Whereas Brentford, they managed to beat Bournemouth. So they're coming into a little bit of form. Beating Villa, beating Bournemouth. Everyone said they would struggle, losing the opening day to Forest. But these are some positive signs. Given that, I think Brentford should actually win this potential relegation battle. Perhaps, let's say 2-1 Brentford. Now, Spurs versus Bournemouth. Historically, a quite tough game. This is at Spurs' home stadium. So, a bit of advantage there. I think Bournemouth was unlucky on the opening day not to get more points. They've just suffered a loss to Brentford and they managed only a 1-0 win against Wolves. Perhaps they were more affected by the transfer market than we thought they were. Spurs still awaiting a couple of signings to sort of get them up to scratch, but have been in form. Managing to beat Man City lately and Burnley, not having to have one of these early round matches in the Carabao Cup. So I'd say under Frank, they haven't conceded yet. I think that might continue with Bournemouth's lack of firepower. I would say perhaps a 2-0 win to Spurs. Wolves versus Everton. Wolves having that opening day drubbing by Man City 4-0. Then losing to, who was it last week? Brentford 1-0. I think their Bournemouth 1-0, my apologies. But managing to eke out a win against West Ham. I think Everton in this transfer window have leveled up in terms of their team. So obviously the opening day defeat stings, but I think they're the informed team or one of the dark horses this year. I think it will be a 2-1 Everton win. Next up, we have Leeds versus Newcastle United. Now, despite everything, Newcastle did manage to pull it back to 2-2 with 10 men against Liverpool, the current champions. Leeds, that opening day win, very important. But I think they will struggle here. I think it'll be 3-1 to Newcastle United. Just give me a moment. There we go. Moving on, Brighton versus Man City. I think Man City have shown that they have some defensive weaknesses, and they're a little bit light. But Brighton have had a surprisingly poor run of form initially in the league. They did manage to drub Oxford United, but you'd expect that. But the 2-0 loss to Everton was surprising. Whereas with Man City, I would say that 2-0 defeat at Spurs was concerning. But the 4-0 win against City shows that they have the firepower. I think it will be... Brighton are good for a goal. I think it will be 3-1 City. Next up, we have Forest versus West Ham. I think Potter's poor run of form is going to continue. I think it'll be a 2-0 win to Forest. Forest are defensively very solid. They've managed to survive the market. And West Ham are just in very poor form. Three losses in 3 games is awful. Let's talk about Villa Palace first. So Villa having a tough start to the season, and Palace in form despite losing Eze, managing to win their last game. They drew their last game against Forest. I would say for Crystal Palace, I think this might be one of the draws of the weekend. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw. Finally, the match of the week. Liverpool-Arsenal. Potentially title deciding. Liverpool, offensively, great. Defensively, suspect. Arsenal, offensively suspect. Defensively, great. It's like the immovable force versus the unstoppable force versus the immovable object right now. I think historically Arsenal have not lost against the Big Six team. And as a Spurs fan, unfortunately, I do have to give them their props. I do think they will be defensively solid against Liverpool, who weren't really able to break down a 10-man Newcastle team, having gone 2-0 up. So given that, I think that Arsenal will actually win this, despite it being at Anfield, 2-1. So that's what I think the matches are going to be this week. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think is going to be fired first, Amorim or Potter. And I will catch you guys next time. I'll probably upload this. Hopefully, there's no Friday matches, so it will be uploaded on Friday. Or actually, I might upload this still on Saturday and maintain my schedule. Catch you guys next time. Peace.